The new World Eaters are more than just angry, they're deadly. In this video, we cover the main differences from Index to Codex and give you 3 example lists so you can hit the ground running in your games. Part 1, Army Overview. So in this video, we're going to go over the main big change points, like the Blessings of Khorne, go over some datasheet abilities, some new datasheets themselves, and go over the 3 most interesting detachments to me. And then if there's a bit more interest in this video, if you like it, comment down if I don't bring up the units that you like or the detachments you think are powerful, and then I can make another video if we get enough interest to do the other detachments and the key units for those detachments as well. So definitely link down below if you want to see that happen. But let's get straight into this. So Blessings of Khorne, they have changed. Let's read them. If your army faction is World Eaters, at the start of the battle round, you can make a Blessings of Khorne roll. To do so, roll 8d6. You can use those dice to activate up to 2 Blessings of Khorne. See below, we'll get to that in a second. Each Blessing of Khorne specifies the dice result it requires. Where a number is specified, a double or triple of that value or higher is required. You can only activate each Blessing of Khorne once per battle round. Any unused dice from Blessings of Khorne roll are then discarded. Once activated, each Blessing of Khorne applies to all units from your army with this ability until the end of the battle round. Okay, so that's not very different from before. That's exactly the same as how it worked in the Index. But the abilities you can get have changed, so let's go into them right now. The first 3, which are the easiest to get and most likely that you'll always have access to, is Unbridled Bloodlust, which is just any doubles. And you can reroll charge rolls for this unit. Very, very good ability, and nice that you can always have access to it. Double, like you're never not going to roll doubles on 8 dice, you have to. So the fact that you just always have access to this, if you don't get other things that you really need, or you only get one other thing you need, just having your army roll for the turn be reroll charges and one other thing is pretty strong in an army that wants to be in melee. Next we have Rage Fueled Invigoration. Each time a model in this unit makes a pile-in or consolidation move, it can move up to 6 inches instead of 3. This is absolutely wild. The stuff that you can do with this, the datasheets that just get exponentially more amazing with this ability is insane. And the fact that it's basically guaranteed any 2-up double is just crazy here. Very, very strong. Technical, a bit more technical to use. Sometimes you have to set up for it. You have to plan, and obviously you'll know this at the start of the battle round, so you can plan your turn around, understanding, hey, this is what I have access to. I can really, if I kill one unit, then I can pile in 6 inches with the second unit. I can charge 2 units in, kill it with the first, then pile in 6 inches with the second, and then hit something new, and then pile in another 6 to tag just their entire army. Now the Berserkers are in minimum 10s. This is brutal for being able to tag so much of your opponent's army. It's pretty crazy. The next one we have is Total Carnage. This is a pair of 3s or more. Each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if it has not fought this phase, roll 1d6 on a 4-up. Do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks, and then it is removed from play. This is fight on death on a 4-up. Pretty good. Into the melee matchups can be very strong if you need to charge into something that has fights first. It's a way of still being able to get some damage through across, especially if it's a unit that even half your unit kills their unit. It can be a great way of, yes, you're trading, but at least you're getting something out of it. Can be quite strong. Next we have Martial Excellence. This is double 4s or any triples. Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have sustained hits 1. Very, very good. There's no way of getting crits on 5s or anything in this army, but just having sustained hits, getting that effectively +1 to hit, but in an exponential way, with if you add rerolls to it, can become very, very strong, and just getting that more horde clearing can be really, really strong. The next one, Warp Blades. It's 5 double 5s or triple 2s or more. Melee weapons have lethal hits. This is a great combo if you need a turn where you just need to hammer down damage. Sustained hits and lethal hits together can just push through a lot of damage. Especially on those Berserker units, getting the lethal hits can be really good because they're not super high on the strength, so being able to push through some extra wounds can be really, really important. especially in some of the detachments. Then lastly, we have decapitating strikes, and this is double 6s or triple 3+. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets infantry unit, that attack has the devastating wounds ability. This one is very, very good. The amount of volume of attacks that you get in like berserker units and a lot of the stuff in these detachments, being able to just put on dev wounds is insane. This is the hardest one to get by far, but it is also the most powerful, and that's kind of the reason why it is. Notably, there is no more advance in charge in this table, so the only advance in charges are in the detachments that have access to specific units gaining advance in charge, or if a unit has advance in charge on its profile. Which is a slight bit of a nerf. They're definitely slower than they were in the past, but these abilities are still so strong that you can really still build your army around them. The nice thing about having the easier to cast ones being quite good as well. The Pile and Consolidate 6 on turns 2 and 3 can be really punishing and pretty much guaranteed. Reroll charges is great for just consistency, making sure you don't have to spend that extra CP. These armies are so CP hungry, so you really don't want to have to be rolling that extra, spending that CP for that reroll that charge. So it's great stuff there. Even the Fight on Death is really consistent to get when you need it. It's the higher ones that can be a bit of a risk, but you can always get access to sustained hits because you'll always get a triple. So you can always get sustained hits and reroll charges, which is a great combo. If that was just your army ability, it's pretty good. So like, don't be upset with the slight nerf to it. I think it is still very strong and very useful. Part 2, the common units. So now let's go on to some of the units that I think are the strongest and the ones that kind of fit into most, if not all, the different detachments you can see. And the first one we're going to be talking about today is the Foot Demon Prince. This is the non-winged Demon Prince. As I was saying earlier, the amount of CP you want to be spending in these armies is astronomical, and this guy has a 12-inch aura of, if you use a CP within that range, you can, it costs 1 less CP, so you're kind of getting a free CP every round. So only once per round. It's not like Gilliman where you get it every turn, but it's still really important for these lists. And also, the Foot Demon Prince kind of just slaps. He's one of the greatest people to put the monsters to put the extra damage enhancements on, because it makes his strikes damage 4, makes his sweeps damage 2. Absolutely brutal to be able to add that to your unit. He also has low knot when he's within 3 inches of friendly infantry, which gives you low knot access, so you can kind of put him off to one side, have him holding your objective, and it forces your opponent at you, and World Eaters now need your opponent to get closer to them because they're not as fast as they once were. You don't have just advance and charge army wide now. You get it situationally in some detachments. So that's really good. He also just gets devastating wounds when he charges, which is just insane. Like, again, if you can get that extra damage enhancement, like flat 4 damage dev wounds, and you have like 8 to 9 attacks, like you're pushing through like 8 dev wounds a turn. It's pretty brutal. So really great use case here. I think every detachment has a good reason to bring a Demon Prince, and I think the models are awesome as well, so it's just really cool set there. The next one we have is Khan. Khan is an absolute beat stick, with his melee being 8 attacks at hitting on 2s, strength 7, AP 2, flat 3 damage. He is an absolute murderer of most things in the game. You put him in Berserker Warband and he goes to strength 9 with 9 attacks. Absolutely bonkers. While he's leading a unit, he gives them reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound. In melee, I believe it is only. What else? What it makes that unit make? No, and so the pistols also get reroll 1s to hit and wound, which is genuinely not bad either. Like, getting the little bit of plink damage, killing those like 2-3 model screens can actually be really nice to get that little bit of extra damage through. There is a downside to running Khan though, and that is at the end of your charge phase, if he's not in combat, so if you fail a charge or if he's just sitting on a point, you've got to pass a leadership tech, otherwise he kills one of the guys in the unit, which is a bit of a downside, but there's quite a few ways to get around that. Notably, you can either have him in reserves and it doesn't matter, or you can have him in a Rhino, and if he's in a transport, then it doesn't matter, like it doesn't count, he's not on the board, so you don't have to do the ability. So stuff like that can be quite nice for him, but also he's just very good on his own, so like even if you don't need him attached, he can still just like 8 to 9 attacks at that profile is just going to murder stuff, especially if you can get sustained hits, or if he can get the devil wounds on infantry. He is an absolutely brutal piece. And then to top it all off, the first time he dies on a Torp, he comes back to life with 3 wounds. Absolutely insane. That's at the end of the phase, I believe, right? Set this model back up at the end of the phase, yeah. So like he comes back at the end of the phase, so he kind of has like a damage cap. Like he can only, if he gets killed in the shooting phase, he comes back to life, then your opponent has to charge you. Or if it's in the fight phase, then you get him back up and then you can charge back in, get a second activation out of him. And for like 85 points, he is an absolute all-star. And even if you're not running Khorne Berserkers in your list, which I think are worth bringing, but even if you're not, I think he is interesting on himself. Because yes, you don't get the reroll ones to hit, reroll ones to wound, which is a bit of a downside, but he is a beat stick in himself. He comes back to life. He can be that guy that sits on your middle objective, dies once, comes back to life, scores you some primary, then gallivants off and goes and kills something. Really, really strong, really great character, and I think you should be considering him for all of your World Eaters lists. And lastly here, the last thing that I will mention is actually the shooting that World Eaters have got with the Forge Fiend. These guys are kind of gone insane. Normal kind of vehicle profile with a 5-up invul, which is really nice. The ectoplasm cannons are D3 shots at 36 inch range, hitting on 4s, which is a bit naff, but strength 10, -3, 3 damage with blast, so that's normal, but also rapid fire 1. So when you're within 18 inches, you get +1 shots. So you get D3 +1 plus blast. Usually, most of the time you'll be getting at least 1 blast. So that, and you get 3 ectoplasm cannons on a Forge Fiend. So you're starting with 6 shots, and then you're getting the extra from the D3s as well. So that's an absolute crazy amount of shooting. And then when you're within 18 inches from its Furious Onslaught ability, you get to reroll the hit roll. So these guys are kind of a bit anemic outside of 18 inches, but when you get within 18 inches, they become absolute powerhouses. They're hitting 75% of the time. They've got an absolute boatload of shots. Strength 10, -3 is a great breakpoint, and damage 3 at the moment is absolutely delightful. So that is great gunboats. It's great like, if you can running 1 to 2 is always, I think, really nice. Running the third one so you can bring one in from reserves, cutting an angle, kind of hit down the side, rapid ingress it even, and push up a flank really aggressively with them. They can be great at clearing those screens, killing your opponent off, and just really, really good utility pieces. I do think for teams specifically, you probably want to run less Forge Fiends. And the reason I say that is you need more things to push a differential. World Eaters are a great army at pushing. Forge Fiends aren't good for that role. Forge Fiends are great at keeping a game stable. It's like, hey, if you come out here, I will shoot you, so your opponent just doesn't come out. But the issue with that is then they just hide on their side, you have to hide on your side. You don't have that extra move to get up with the advance and charges you used to kind of all in your opponent. So you end up just trading, flipping your own each other's primary a little bit, and the game kind of ends quite drawish. You might be in the positive side of that, but for teams, you kind of want to be pushing those 12 to 15 differential points, not just getting a 10-10 a lot of the time. So that's something to consider when you're thinking about these guys in a team's environment. Part 3. The lists. So, as I promised, I'm going to go into a couple of the lists that I think are the strongest going forward. Now, are these the most optimal versions of these lists? Definitely not, but they are strong starting points for all of these detachments. And you could definitely go in a lot of different directions. I haven't really put any 8-bound in these because I think they're a bit too expensive, but as they come down in points, or if you've been having a lot of playing a lot with them and you're enjoying them, sub out some of the stuff, add in your 8-bound, add in your Exalted. They're also really good. This is where I'm starting with my World Eaters lists, but you can do whatever you want and just take this as like a good starting point, and yeah, let's go from there. So first we're going to start with the Berserker Warband, which is the updated index detachment. Nothing's really changed in here in a lot of the ways. It's still +2 strength and +1 attack on the charge. Really great ability. Being able to push like Berserkers to strength 6 is really important, and to 5 attacks means they just melt so much stuff. But also all your heavier hitting units, like bringing Khan to strength 9, like all this kind of stuff, and like 9 attacks. Absolutely insane. So a lot of really strong stuff you can do there. So let's crack into the list. We have a Demon Prince of Khorne. Again, CP hungry as ever, so you really want that. And you get Berserker Glaive, which gives you I believe it is still the same. It is +1 attack and +1 damage. So which means his melee is, sorry, since I didn't show it to you earlier, on the charge he'll have 10 attacks at 10 to 4, and then 18 attacks at 8, 1, 2. Absolutely insane profiles there. Like, he absolutely just dominates stuff. The AP1 here can be a bit brutal, like if you're going into Marines and they Armor of Contempt, but you're still giving them, you're hitting on 2s, potentially with sustained hits, so you're hitting all the times, and then you're wounding on 2s into Marine bodies, so you're giving them like 14 saves, 15 saves. Like, that's going to kill a decent amount of guys. If they Armor of Contempt, a bit less, but like, you also have the option, if it's only 5 guys, maybe you go for the sweeps to get that extra AP, really making sure you're forcing through as many good AP saves as possible. Stuff like that, but absolute beat stick with his abilities as well. He also has like a nice little shooting gun, like it's AP1 with Rapid Fire 1. Not terrible. Not assault though, so you can't like advance and get an angle and shoot something, but you don't really care about it. This is incidental, but it's also quite nice. Then we have Khan, and we have Lord Invocatus. Lord Invocatus is awesome now. We've already gone over Khan, so I'm just going to pass him for now. Lord Invocatus is absolute beatstick and melee himself. He gets, he loves this detachment for the extra strength, and everything likes extra attack, so that's fine. But he gives the unit of Khorne Berserkers that he's attached to Deep Strike. So this is an amazing rapid ingress threat that you can push up one side of the board and just have like in the tank. You can also Deep Strike it down on your own turn if you need to reinforce a flank to make sure that no one charges you. But you can just the rapid ingress plays you can do with this. It's really, really strong. It is an expensive unit with the unit of Khorne Berserkers. It is almost 300 points, which definitely isn't cheap, but you are hitting really hard in this detachment. You can really swap out a tempo swing because you have the rapid ingress threat here, so I think it's really, really strong. Then we have 3 units of Khorne Berserkers. They get the Blood Surge move, so they get to move d6 inches when they get shot at. So after the unit is shot at them, they can move d6 inches and they can end in combat. Really, really fun things you can do with this. You could set up that, like, to get an angle, you need to get it within 6 inches of me. Especially on like some terrain types, UKTC and WTC, you can definitely engineer that your opponent has to get quite close to you to be able to see you. The 10-man units can sometimes make that a little bit awkward because they're so big, but there is some like situations you can kind of force your opponent into, especially when you get out of a transport, because you still get, even if the transport's destroyed, you can get out in front and then be like, well, if you shoot me now, I get to Blood Surge into you. There's a lot of kind of situations you can set up. So quite a strong ability. Not the strongest in the world, because your opponent can just be like, hey, I'm going to sit outside of 7 inches because then I can't get within engagement range, and then just blast you in it. And then you can Blood Surge once, but then they can just keep shooting you and die. But all in all, still very strong. They have the Chain Blades, which are just 4 attacks at strength 4 -1/1. But remember, they'll go to 5 attacks at strength 6 -1/1 on the charge in this detachment. So they become substantially harder hitting, and then you can have sustained hits, so you have effectively hitting on 2s. Khan's units re-rolling 1s to hit, so you'll be getting almost 100% hit rates, if not a little bit higher. Pretty crazy. You get 3 plasma pistols, and you also get 2 eviscerators, so you have effectively 8 attacks on the charge at strength 10 -2/2. Also quite good, like this stuff is hitting pretty darn hard. It's hitting pretty darn hard. So yeah, so 3 units of Khorne Berserkers, because I think in this attachment you have access to advance and charge, so having an extra unit or 2 here can be really, really powerful. It also means you can rapid ingress Invocatus' unit a little bit safer, and then advance and charge out if you need to, so stuff like that can be really powerful. Having the bigger unit means you can also tow 1 guy in within range of the Demon Prince to make the next strat you use in them, say it's an advance and charge, a little bit cheaper. So the stuff you can kind of play around. But there is like also the +1 AP strat is phenomenal. There's stuff like that. There's so much good damage buffs in this detachment. But also just like the raw damage increase from +2 strength, +1 AP, +1 attack, is very, very strong. We have 1 Rhino. The Rhino hasn't changed a whole heap, well, apart from its ability, which has made it absolutely bonkers in my opinion. It's very funny, which is meet any challenge. In your opponent's movement phase, each time an enemy unit is set up or ends a normal move, advance, or fallback move within 9 inches of this model, any units embarked within it can disembark. So it's not both ways, you can only disembark from it, but if you have like a unit with like fights first, or a unit that you want to heroic with, or just like you could dump OC out onto a point when they move to take the point from you. You can just dump a bunch of OC onto the point. There's so many cool things you can do with this. Obviously, your opponent can then put guns in line. There's a lot more that goes into it, but there's a lot of fun tricks you can do with this, especially in one of the other detachments, the Gore Track detachment that we'll talk about next. There's a lot of fun things you can do with Rhinos having this ability. Then we have a unit of Chaos Spawn. Chaos Spawn, I think, are an amazing trading piece. I think minimum one, there's a general reason to bring 3 units in every single list. I've tried to kind of balance things out a little bit. Some lists have a bit more of one unit, some have a bit more of something else, to try and just give a good balance of the different things you can take. But they basically just have a bunch of damage to attacks. They natively advance in charge. They have a 5-up Feel No Pain with 4 wounds each, so they're a bit more durable than people expect. They hit a bit harder with like 10 attacks minimum. It's like 12 attacks minimum in this attachment. So they hit really hard. They love all the benefits you can get them from the Blessings of Khorne, and they're just a great trade piece. You also have the Stick on Death strat, so these guys are a great caddy to use it up early. They sit on an objective, push a button for you, do a cleanse, do a secure, and then when your opponent shoots them off them because they don't want to get anything close to you because you're World Eaters, then you can stick at the objective and you still control it. So it forces your opponent off to do stuff to you, which is why I think this is probably the strongest attachment, if not one of the strongest attachments World Eaters have access to. Then we have, in this one, I've gone for the 3 Forge Fiends. So this is trying to be a lot more, I'm going to win by 5 to 10 points. And I think that's kind of, as soon as you can kind of analyze a lot of World Eaters lists on how many Forge Fiends is how they want to play the game. If you're running 3 Forge Fiends, you have 2 to do the 2 main sight lines, and you have 1 in reserves to come in and hit a flank, hit an angle. If you're playing on Games Workshop, that's a very, very valid way to play, because you can, a lot of the time, there's only 2 good shooting avenues. Then you have the 3rd one coming in to try and force your opponent into really awkward positions. Also gives you that option to rapid ingress to even have an even tighter sight line the next turn. There's a lot of fun things you can do with Forge Fiends if you're running 3 of them. But yeah, really, really strong. Forces your opponent back so far, which is, again, kind of unintuitive. It's like, it's forcing your opponent back because they don't want to get within 18 inches, but it means you just get board control, so which means you lock down your primary a bit better, and you can just do a lot more, you can be a lot more safe with your plays. So definitely a very strong singles mentality is, hey, if you come at me, these things will absolutely delete you, so just don't come at me. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the Hellbrutes. So 3 Hellbrutes in this attachment with a Hellbrute Fist and a Hammer. These guys get +2 attacks. They have double melee weapons, 9-inch move, which is quite nice, toughness 9, 2-up save, which is actually considerably quite good. No invul though, so the higher the AP, the worse it is for them. Only 8 wounds, which is fine. OC3, which is a great point. It's the same reason for the Demon Prince. Is OC2. The difference between OC2 and OC3, a lot of transports are OC2. So being OC3 means you can flip objectives from the really small vehicles, which often are the first things off onto points. Even like 2 Chaos Spawn, right? They're 1 AC each, so if both of them are on a point, one of these guys can flip their primary back. So there's lots of stuff that's like, they'll put 2 OC on a point. So cool, now I can put 3 OC on that point. So OC3 is actually quite a nice break point. So this guy, I've given him the Hellbrute Fist and the Hellbrute Hammer. You can't attack with both of them, but you do get +2 attacks. And in this attachment, when you charge, you get an additional attack as well. So we'll be up to 9 attacks at hitting on 3s, strength 14, -2, 3 damage. Awesome. That's a great, just like horde killing, or not even horde killing, elite infantry killing. Great at killing those like possessed, those custodian, all that kind of stuff. Having this guy being flat 3 damage and having the Forge Fiends means like custodian wardens have to be in such an, like, if you can be seen by a Forge Fiend and get charged by a Hellbrute in the same turn, they have to decide what turn, where they're going to use the Feel No Pain, which is just like horrible for them, right? So having different phases of 3 damage is horrible for stuff like Custodian Wardens and anything 3 damage, 3 wounds. Then we also have the kind of the more anti-vehicle one, which will be, again, 9 attacks on the charge at hitting on 4s, so you really want sustained hits active this if you're using this profile, just for the fact that you kind of want to make sure if you roll a 6, then you're kind of hitting on 3s, which is a bit nicer. Strength 16, so even pretty much everything you're wounding on 3s, most infantry or very light vehicles you're wounding on 2s now, AP3, D6 plus 1 damage. So this is your like anti-rhino kind of style stuff, right? Like this guy can absolutely just delete that kind of stuff. But where it gets really interesting is Frenzy, right? This is an insane ability that a few different units have now, a few different dreadnoughts. And is in your opponent's shooting phase and in the fight phase, each time an enemy unit targets this model, after that unit has finished making its attacks, this model can either shoot or fight. But when reserving those attacks, it can only target that enemy unit, and only if it is an eligible target. What this means is we're melee only, so this only impacts us in melee, right? We don't care about the shooting. And I don't think you would put a gun on these guys because I think the extra 2 attacks is just so much stronger than having access to a random laser cannon shot that hits half the time. Is with the pile in and consolidate 6 inches blessings ability, is you can hit something, kill it, and then pile into another unit. They hit you because they have to. If you're in combat with something, you have to make attacks. And you can't decide not to attack something in melee. So they have to hit you, and they might just, they knock a couple of wounds off you, sure. But then you get to hit them at full thing, and if you've charged this turn, you still get the +1 attack and +2 strength. So you're absolutely just wailing on stuff. And if you kill that unit, then you can pile in 6 inches again, consolidate 6 inches again, maybe tag something else. Like, realistically, you're probably only getting a double fight out of them. It's unlikely to kill 2 things unless your opponent's really, really messed up the positioning. But sometimes this can be brutal. Like, you can send 1 dreadnought out and clear 2 things off an objective. Absolutely insane. So yeah, so that's kind of why I went for 3 of them in this list, because again, you can start 1 in reserves, put one out towards the center objective, 1 out to your expansion, or even 1 out to your opponent's expansion, and just have them as these pieces that is like your opponent has to deal with them. With the 2-up save, they're actually kind of annoying with cover to get rid of, and they can if your opponent messes up, can be absolutely game winning. Like you get 2 of these guys that can just go down the lines, killing things and going on to the next, killing something, going on to the next. It can just you can win a game off that alone. So trying 2's probably correct, and you can probably swing some points around and get some more other things in the list. Maybe another unit of Chaos Spawn, or you could try like a small unit. Drop something else and get like a unit of 8-bound or exalted 8-bound. Something like that could also be quite interesting, right? There's other ways you can go around this, but I've kind of gone for like the kind of heavy vehicle with the 3 Forge Fiends, triple Hellbrute kind of style. I think these guys would be really interesting also with just 1 Forge Fiend. I think that could be a really good, so like you have the threat of shooting, but then you have these kind of Hellbrutes to come up, and then you can take a bit more melee, so you can really try and pressure. But again, that's a bit more of an all-in strategy, which I don't think you need to do it anymore, but in teams is probably a bit more of an interesting way to go. Then we just have, to finish this one out, we just have a unit of Jackals, which is just, they give sticky on objectives that they control at the end of your command phase, and they're just a good unit. They're also great to die in the middle of the game to sticky an objective as well. So if you put them on an objective so your opponent has to shoot them off, then you can sticky it for 1 CP as well. Great little utility piece. They're cheap as anything. They're a good action monkey. They do everything you kind of want them to. And that is the Berserker Warband. I'm not going to go into all the strats and everything. I've kind of gone over a couple of them while talking through the units. But it's a pretty tight list. There's not actually that many units in it, but the units all do like a really interesting thing, and I think it's a really fun way to play World Eaters at the moment. And with the Berserker Warband detachment ability, the strat suite, and then the new Blessings of Khorne, you can hit so incredibly hard. It's really, really, really interesting. Let's go on to the next. So we have Gortrak, this is the Rhino detachment, which is really cool. Like, I'm very excited that the Rhino detachment is actually, I think, quite good and quite interesting. So what you do, what this detachment does is, I'll just bring it up just to make, where we got here. Is it below the stratum? There we go. Rush to the fray. Each time a World Eaters unit from your army disembarks from a Rhino, until the end of the turn, add 1 to charge rolls made for units. For that unit, and that unit's melee weapons have the Lance ability, which is +1 to wound if you get into, if you charged. Very, very good ability. The +1 to charge means you're getting into charges so much more consistently. You can also do the Blessings of Khorne for reroll charges, so your rerolls with +1. That's incredibly likely to go off for a charge, unless you're obviously going for like 10-inch charges, then don't do that. But yeah, really, really cool detachment ability, and all the strats work about with rhinos, getting out of rhinos, getting back in rhinos, being able to give rhinos assault ramp, rhinos moving through walls, all sorts of questions. There's the coolest 2CP strat, 2 1CP strats, but it's rhino can move through walls and then get out of a transport after it's moved and then still be able to charge. So you can get a rhino through a wall and then get the guys out and then charge with +1 to wound and +1 to charge. Very, very cool. Very, very cool stuff. Very crazy threat ranges in this detachment. So we started with the Demon Prince of Khorne. Here's the enhancement Unleash Hell, which is just because it has an extra couple of points. This list is actually pretty low in the points, but I was looking through it and there's nothing that I would really change at this point without getting a decent amount of reps with the list. This is kind of where I think is a good spot for it right now. And then once you kind of feel like, okay, I don't need this, or I want to change this, that's when you can kind of start looking about what to change, what to alter. So yeah, we have Khan. Oh, sorry, Unleash Hell. Sorry, is you pick a vehicle and it starts your shooting phase, and a rhino. Sorry, well, it's a transport, so it's a rhino, and it gets the suppression effect if it hits something in melee in shooting. So quite nice. It's because I had the extra points. It's not for any other reason really. We have Khan, because Khan's great. Also, he loves being in transports because then he's not killing his friends and getting +1 to hit. And Lance, that guy is a blender with Lance. It's absolutely insane. We have 2 Master of Executions. They let you reroll the Surge dice, which can be very interesting in this detachment because you have so many rhinos. When you pop out and they shoot you, you can reroll the Surge rolls. There's also a I think it's this detachment that has the strat for a auto 6 blood surge. Would be shooting phase, right? Is it this one? Effect 1 complex unit from army with 3 money into somebody. That's what. No, so it must be a different. I must be getting a little bit confused there. Apologies. I've gotten a bit too excited. But yeah, so you can reroll your blood surges with these guys. One of them has aggressive deployment, so he starts on one of the rhinos. That rhino gets scouts 9, which is just really great. Gives you that early board presence. You can start a bit more further up the board. You have that kind of first trading piece. Master of Executions also give. They get reroll hits themselves against characters, and they have precision. So it's a nice little extra tool to not have to spend the CP to precision out characters. They're quite good at dealing with that kind of stuff. And then the other one has Infernal Infusion, which is an insane enhancement which just gives once per game fights first to your unit. This is crazy when you have access to all the strats that you have in this detachment, notably even the one that I kind of just accidentally showed off, where you can get out of a rhino and then automatically make a blood surge move. With this guy, then if you blood surge into combat with someone, then you can just pop fights first, then you're fighting first, and you just pick up their unit. Absolutely insane stuff you can do here. Like, there's some very, very crazy powerful plays you can do here with blood surge mechanics, with all the different stuff you can do with the strats. Very, very cool. And also just fights first is an amazing ability to have in the melee mirrors, right? So very, very strong. Then we have 4 units of Khorne Berserkers. Again, it's like you want to have a bunch of Khorne Berserkers in this attachment because you want a lot of stuff coming in and out of rhinos. They get the most out of Lance. They don't get the plus strength like Berserker Warband do, but +1 to wound is often the same, if not better, but most of the time the same. But you don't get the extra attacks. So they don't hit necessarily as hard, but they have a lot more other tricks available to them. Then we have 3 rhinos because you kind of want to be able to jump in and out of transports all the time. And also, rhinos, like 85 points for something that can just hit on an objective, is annoying enough to kill that your opponent has to put real resources into it, which means it's not going into the other things in your list. Then we have 1 Chaos Spawn, 2 Forge Fiends. So again, this is a bit less passive, a bit more trying to push, like you want to push forward a little bit more. You want to stage aggressively with all your rhinos, force your opponent to like make your stuff pop out of your rhinos, so then you can do your extra tricks, do some extra fun. Then we have a unit of Goremongers. The reason I have the Goremongers in this one and not in Berserker is in this list there is actually scouts, so there's a very valid reason to want to have infiltrators. You can start them on an objective, and then you can make sure you always get your scout with your Master of Possessions unit that has the Scout 9 Rhino to make sure you're really reinforcing a flank or a staging point really, really well. So I think it's very important to have a unit of Goremongers if you're taking that enhancement. Also just very good to have. I think Goremongers are quite strong. Not for the damage, just but for what they give you. They're also very good in Berserker, because when they die, they can sticky something, so you can force your opponent into really awkward positions. Really great unit. And then just a unit of Jackals to finish this off. So the main thing is with this detachment, and this is the one I actually am going to go through the specific strats, because I think all of them are really interesting, and kind of just going to go through why I think the different ones are interesting. So let's just go into Gortrack Onslaught, and let's go into the enhancements. So firstly, we have Endless Pursuit of Violence, end of the fight phase, one World Eater's infantry unit, and one friendly transport that it is able to embark within. Your World Eater's infantry unit is wholly within 6 inches of that transport, it can embark within it. So you can, basically what this means is you can charge your guys and a rhino into something, and then once your unit kills that unit, it can get back in. Notably, it doesn't say that you have to be outside of melee range. So you can fight something, kill most of it, and at the end of the fight phase, you can just get back in the rhino. So it forces your opponent to pop the rhino before they can do anything else. If they move, then you can get the guys out on another side. There's all sorts of funny things you can do with this. Kind of just like get some extra movement. You can have the rhino sits up against a wall, so they get back in, and then when that unit moves, you can get back out on the other side of the wall, so then you're not battle shocked, so you can use all your other strats and all anything else. Very, very cool stuff you can do with the strats. Very, very funny. Smash through. This is one of my favorite ones. One World Eater's vehicle. It has not been selected to move. Until the end of the phase, it can move through and make a normal. Every time it makes a normal or advanced move, it can move horizontally through terrain. So this is like you can Kool-Aid Man through walls. Very, very cool. Really makes it so you can stage quite aggressively and then still use them later in the game. A lot of transports, a lot of the issue in some of the terrain formats is the good staging points are actually very awkward for them to move off afterwards. So this completely eliminates that, makes it very, very strong. Next we have aggressive disembarkation. Your movement phase, one World Eater's Rhino model from your army that has not been selected to move this phase, one World Eater's unit embarked within your Rhino can disembark, and when doing so, models in that unit can set up anywhere on the battlefield wholly within 6 of your Rhino, and can be set up within engagement range of one or more enemy units. This is just like so silly. The fact that you can just, so you've tagged all around my Rhino so I can't get my guys out. Cool. Poof. They're just going to get out all within 6 and within engagement range of you. This is another insane combo with the fights first master of possession, because they get out in combat and then you swing first, you kill them, and then at the end of the phase you spend 1 CP, get them, put them back into the Rhino with Endless Pursuit of Violence. It's like some very cool stuff you can already do there, right? Like very obvious but very, very fun. Quite hard to play around a lot of the time. Next we have Full Throttle Assault. One World Eater's Rhino model from your army that has not been selected to move this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a World Eater's unit disembarks from that model after it has made a normal move, that unit is still eligible to declare a charge. So again, this works so well with Smash Through. Yes, it's 2 CP. That's why there's a Demon Prince in this list, because you kind of need to get as much CP reduction as possible. But you can Kool-Aid Man through a wall, get your guys out, then then charge with +1 to charge. Whew, that's a crazy threat range. It's effectively, if the Rhino can go directly straight the entire time, means you have a 15-inch movement, because you get a 12-inch move with the Rhino and then a 3-inch disembark. So you have a 15-inch movement and then charge with +1 to charge. Pretty crazy, guys. That's pretty crazy. Then we have Unrelenting Advance, your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has shot. One World Eater's vehicle model from your army that was hit by one or more attacking units' attacks. Your unit can make a normal move up to 6 inches. This is, again, very cool. You can use it to wiggle your Rhinos around, put them in a bit more of an aggressive position, keep them alive. So like if they put multiple guns into them, you can move it so only one of the guns gets to shoot them and then they go back. And then you can move out of the way. You can use it to get back onto it at a point. There's so much very cool stuff you can do with this. You cannot be selected with this stratagem and the next stratagem, and Fury Unleashed, the last stratagem. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has shot. One World Eater's Rhino model from your army that has one or more wounds remaining and was hit by one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. One Khorne Berserker's unit embarked within your model can disembark and make a Blood Surge move. So you just get to get out and Blood Surge. The reason they didn't let you do both of these is it would be absolutely busted, but still very, very strong. Like, you put a Rhino on a point with guys inside, they shoot you, you don't die, they've put something else on to deny the point from you, and cool, sweet, I'm going to unload my guy's Blood Surge, kill your unit, and then be really aggressively positioned for the next turn, or even just be able to go back into the transport as well. Like, there's some very, very cool stuff you can do with this detachment. It's very, very fun. The issue that this detachment has, all in all, is the damage is actually not as high as Berserker by like quite a considerable amount. It's a lot more just about hitting and kind of getting multiple uses and activations out of your units, whereas the Berserker list, you can kind of just all in your opponent because you have the damage to kind of check them a little bit, right? Whereas this doesn't have as much damage. It still has good damage, but it's nowhere near the same. The Demon Prince doesn't have an enhancement that's really beneficial for them, so that their sweeps are only AP 1, the strikes are damage 1, the strikes are only damage 3. Damage 3 is fine there, but like it's still like it's not the same, right? Like damage 1 and damage 2 sweeps are completely different things. But saying that, the list does have a lot of tools, it has a lot of tricks, and I think this would be an absolutely fun, probably the most fun way you can play World Eaters because of all the tricks you can do. You can feel like an evil genius when you play this list, or this detachment. And I think like something like this is a really great starting point. You might only need 2 Rhinos, and you might only want 3 units of Berserkers, so you can take actually a lot more other stuff, right? There's a lot of play in this. I think 3 units of Spawn here, again, really good. So then you have your early board pieces, and then you can use the Rhino tricks later game to really punish your opponents. All really good stuff. All really good stuff. So that's Gore-Track, and then the last one we're going to talk about is Khorne Demonkin, which is the Demon Detachments. This is the one where you can ally Bloodletters, all that kind of stuff, all the different demon stuff. The rest of them can't. This is the only detachment that you can actually ally demons in. So again, another Demon Prince of Khorne. This one has Blade of Endless Bloodshed, which gives him, I believe it's attack, strength, and damage. Yeah, so this guy is an absolute beat stick. Again, just flat 4 damage on the strikes, flat 2 damage on the sweeps, extra attacks and extra strength. Whew, absolutely divine. So he's an absolute beat stick. Great strats in this attachment as well. Also have Khan, and then we have Scarbrand, because we can take Scarbrand in this. And Scarbrand, no joke, is an absolute beast. Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous face. Oh, beautiful, beautiful man. So he's a 4-bit invul, 3 armor save, OC 5. Most notably though, he has like an actually decent like torrent weapon, like strength 8, AP 1 damage with 2d6 shots and ignores cover. That actually slaps, like it very much slaps. But what really is the most important thing is his melee. He has 8 attacks at strength 16 minus 4, 6 damage. So it just deletes one thing in the game. And then he also has 16 attacks at strength 8, AP 2 damage. So you can also kill most infantry in the game. So he hits incredibly hard, does very, very well at what he does. And he also has deep strike, like all demons do. So which means this guy is just an amazing rapid ingress tool. Yes, he doesn't fly because his wings are gone. I'm sorry about that. But because he can teleport onto the battlefield and like in your end of your opponent's movement phase, it just puts so much pressure on your opponent to do things. And then like you just have this answer to, oh, that's a problem. Cool. I'm actually going to just put my problem solver down there to deal with that. Really, really awesome. He has some pretty good abilities. All Blood Legions unit, which is all the demon stuff, gets +1 attacks with their melee weapons. Quite nice. And he can also advance and charge. So he's super consistent to get into combat, right? With his 10-inch move. He's no slouch. Like 4-up invul with 20 wounds at toughness 11 is tough to deal with. 5 OC flips the objective for any like one vehicle, so he can kill one thing, pile on, consolidate onto an objective, and then often flip the primary as well. Great, great piece to have. Very, very cool. Then we have 3 units of Bloodletters. Bloodletters themselves are fairly weak. They don't do a whole lot. They have 2 attacks base. So when they're close to Scarbrand, they do get an extra attack, which does incredibly. It's 50% increase to their damage, which is significant. There's also, what we should go into is the abilities for this detachment. So let's just do that. And there's a few different blood type things. So we've got Khorne Demonkin. So, sorry, I should have done this first, but let's do it now. So you can include up to 1,000 points of Blood Legions units in your army. And then each time the Blood Tithe is like your detachment ability. Each time a Blood Legions or World Eaters unit from your army destroys an enemy unit, roll 1d6 on a 3+, you gain 1 Blood Tithe point. At the start of your command phase, you can spend 1 or more of your Blood Tithe point to activate one of the following abilities until the end of the battle. So every time you pay for them, you get them for the rest of the game. So Enraged Abjuration is 2, and you get a 5-up Feeling of Pain to psychic attacks and mortal wounds. So situationally, this is absolutely insane, because it's everything in your army gets that ability, which is just very, very strong. And then Demonic Rage, for 3 Blood Tithe, your Blood Legions units get Lance. So this gives a Scarbrand Lance, and it gives you a Blood Leaders Lance, which actually really, really increases our damage output, right? So very, very strong one. That's one that you want to get as soon as possible a lot of the time. Then we have Boon of Blood, which is your Blood Legions unit get a 4-up invulnerable. There's also a strat that if you have this active, your World Eaters units can get a 5-up invul, and if they have this active, it's a 4-up invul. So you can also keep your like Berserkers and other stuff alive a lot longer as well. Really, really good. And then the most insane one, but it's also the hardest to get to, is Might of Khorne. Blood Legions units from your army gain the Blessings of Khorne, so they can get the sustained hits. They get all the other stuff that they don't usually get access to, which is really, really strong. But by the time you get this, you're probably already either winning a game, because you only get them on a 3-up, so you've killed like 7 or 8 units before you have enough Blood Tithe points to do this. But if it comes up, if there's an aggressive early game, or your opponent has just a million units and you get to clean up a couple with 1 or 2 units, you can get up to this quite quickly sometimes. So next we have one unit of Khorne Berserkers to go with Khan. I like Khan with Khorne Berserkers. I think he's just they hit substantially harder with reroll ones to hit and wound. They don't get they don't get any other real benefits in this detachment, but you do get some some nice strats synergies as well. 1 Rhino, because I still think Rhinos are quite strong. 2 units of Chaos Spawn, and again, you could definitely run the 3rd as well. They are very, very good. 1 unit of Flesh Hounds. Flesh Hounds have, at the end of your opponent's turn, you can lift them back up into the sky. So this really help lock in your secondary game plan. 3 Forge Fiends. Forge Fiends are insane in this detachment because with your Blood Leaders. So this is something I'll go into. Let's go into it now. There is a stratagem that you can use in any phase when a unit dies, yours or your opponent's. And what happens is when the last model from that unit dies and gets pulled, before it gets pulled, you can spend 1 CP to summon a unit of Blood Leaders wholly within 9 inches outside of 1 inch of that model. And the amount of things you can do with this is absolutely ludicrous. It is a very, very strong ability. And one of the best ways of activating this is with a Forge Fiend. Right? So you can shoot a Forge Fiend, you kill a unit, you then summon Blood Leaders where that unit just died. Absolutely insane. But there's also defensive applications for it, right? Whereas your unit just got shot at an objective, but it's the last thing that could shoot something on that objective. You summon Blood Leaders on, so you still control that objective. There is just so many crazy things you can do with this. And because it's any phase, you can overwatch something. If you kill it, then you get to summon Blood Leaders down where that unit was killed. There is just so many crazy things you can do with this. If you get overwatched and your unit dies, you can then summon demons where your last model got pulled, and you might even unholy within 9 inches outside of 1. It's just bonkers the amount of different fun things you can do with that combination of things, right? So I think having lots of expendable units can be really interesting if you want to try and activate them that way. There's also a strat to put your Blood Leaders back into the sky, so I would recommend starting 1 unit on the board and having 2 in the sky, so you have the 2 early game Blood Leader bombs, and you can always put the other one back into reserves if you need it to do it in a later turn. You can definitely probably get away with 2 Forge Fiends here as well. The 3 is just because I think they're very good, and just having that ability to shoot from an angle as well can be really, really strong. And then we just have the package of Goremongers and Jackals, just a nice way to finish off the list. You have the unit to be that early game Goremongers again with the Blood Leaders. It's just such a funny combination where you send your Goremongers out early, they get killed by your opponent, and then you put Blood Leaders right behind the wall, right in front of them, so then they can just go on and tag everything the next turn. Some very, very funny, very, very cool things you can do with that. And then Jackals, just because Sticky's good. And again, they can still do this similar thing as Gormongers. They can go out at turn 3, turn 4, die, and then do Bloodletter things if that's what you need. But like at that point, you're probably committed to the board already. But yeah, very, very cool list. Some really, really cool strats. Let's go into some of the strats though, since we already have it up here. So we have Summoned by Slaughter, which is the Bloodletter one that we just talked about. Then we have Demonic Fury. Start of the fight phase, 1 Blood Legions unit from your army. Select a World Eaters unit within 6. Until the end of the turn, melee weapons equipped by models in your World Eaters unit have Lance, so you're getting that +1 to wound with your World Eaters unit. And if the Demonic Rage ability is active, which is the Lance for your Blood Legion units, that World Eater unit gets twin linked. So you could have Berserkers with Lance and twin linked, so your +1 to wound re-rolling wounds, that can just be absolutely back-breaking. So very, very cool stuff there. Then we have a Worthy Skull. Fight phase, just after a Blood Legions or World Eaters unit from your army has fought, and 1 or more enemy character or monster models were destroyed as a result of those attacks. That Blood Legions or World Eaters unit, you gain D3 Blood Tithe points, and then you can spend them directly then to get another boon. So if you roll the 3 and you can get access to something good, you can just instantly buy it then. That's very good, and like very important to be trying to get this earlier if you can, because the sooner you get those extra blood tithes can be really, really important. This is a great way of using, say, like Scarbrand, and actually going for the flat 6 damage profile and precisioning, and do an epic challenge just to doink the character. Then if you have the other CP, you can get D3 blood tithes, so you can kind of try and rack them up as quickly as possible. So very, very good there. Then we have Demon Tide. 1 World Eaters unit from your army. Select 1 friendly Blood Legions unit within 6. 1 destroyed mounted model, up to D3 destroyed beast models, or up to D6 destroyed infantry models are returned to that Blood Legions unit with their full wounds remaining. This is very cool. So this is like your Blood Leaders, you can bring back D6. Your Flesh Hounds, you can bring back D3. And if you're running the Blood Crushers, which are very good in this attachment, led by one of the Mounted Lords, because they can go through terrain. Very, very strong combo there as well. I haven't got it on this one, but again, you drop a couple of Forge Fiends, you can just slot that in very, very easily, and it's a very powerful melee threat as well. And you can just, but the thing is with the Blood Crushers and the Dogs, when you bring back a model, it's a big base, right? They're a very long base. You're gaining like 2 to 3 inches to your charge from bringing back that model. So like there's some very, very strong things you can do with with this stratagem. And then Murder Call is the last one. Into your opponent's fight phase, 1 Blood Legions unit from your army that isn't on the battlefield and not within engagement range. Remove it from the battlefield. So this is also good on Scarbrand. You can like send Scarbrand dead, kill something if he's and then he has to survive your opponent's turn, but then he can get sucked back into the sky, so make sure you can kind of like use him again. Like if he went off to like go on a little journey to kill something off on the side, he's not necessarily just gone for the rest of the game. He can come back in and then deep strike down, go for a 9-inch charge, or threaten another objective, something like that. But anyway, guys, that is this video. Hope you really enjoyed it. I know I didn't go over all the detachments and all the different things you can do. There is a lot to unpack here. I'm trying to kind of keep this as concise as I possibly can, with kind of not trying to hinder my excitement for how cool World Eaters are. So I hope you enjoyed it. Drop in the comments below what I missed, what you'd like me to go over again. Again, like I said at the start, guys, if you comment down below if you want me to do another video on the other 3 detachments, or the 4 detachments that World Eaters have, happy to do it. Just want to make sure that I have that excitement to do it. I'm going to do another one of these on Death Guard and another one on Thousand Suns when they come out, on my kind of like my interested list that I want to start with, the kind of what units I think are really good. So if you want those, make sure you subscribe, like the video and stuff like that, to make sure that I keep doing this. Otherwise, there will be a video there that you can watch next. And otherwise, see you guys next time.